Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Capital A Trading and welcome to my latest Forex Weekly. So again, it's just that video where I'm bringing you the best investment opportunities in the charts, showing you how I'm going to tackle them, and of course hoping that you can catch on to a profitable situation by just some of the information you're about to come across. So if that sounds good to you, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. There's a lot of exciting content coming. I'm excited to announce today that I'll be joined by two good friends from up the north of England. That's Luke and James from Lag-FX, who are going to bring you a bit of analysis on the charts from themselves. So again, make sure you check out for that in the later part of the video. Before we start, I just want to say a quick shout out to my sponsors, The Absolutely magazine. My article's on page 95. Go check it out. It's a really good read. And again, my website recently launched in the background there. That's www.capitalatrading.co.uk. With that being said, let's get into the fundamentals.
As important as always check your fundamentals at the start of the week. The reason being is if there's going to be some impacts on your charts on the currencies that you're looking to trade, you need to be aware of when that may happen. So for example, last week, there was a US dollar interest rate decision. Obviously, it impacted with gold. It let me know about an area where there must be market makers somewhere in this area, and price returned the next day and created a great selling opportunity, which I'm about to explain. So again, just understand the importance of checking out your fundamentals. So as I quickly scan through this Monday, I'll be checking on the US dollar around 130 just after the New York session opens. Let's see what happens there. Again, I'm not expecting too much, which you'll notice throughout the week. I'm not expecting anything to cause a major impact. Tuesday, I'd probably switch my focus around the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, see if there's any impact that may happen over there. Wednesday, again, the Swiss franc, nothing to really worry about there. It starts to pick up on Thursday. I'll probably switch my focus over to the euro with the unemployment rate, see how that may impact the euro. And again, there's some news just after the New York session surrounding the US dollar and the CAD. So again, it might be worth looking at the USD CAD. Friday, again, nothing really to write home about. I'd probably, again, just keep an eye on the Australian dollar to see if there's going to be any impact with the news there. So regarding these fundamentals, nothing, no interest rate decisions, nothing that's going to cause an instant impact. So again, with that, let's get into the charts. Okay, I'm going to start with gold as always. And again, if you checked out last week's video, you'll know that I was mentioning this area to keep an eye on around the 1780 level. And of course, it respected it, as you can see, with the body sticking underneath there. And then price obviously making some nice moves to the downside. So what I just mentioned with the fundamentals was this was the US dollar's interest rate decision. It came at 7 o'clock. I believe it was on Wednesday or Thursday. Don't quote me on that. And it just created a familiar piece of price action that I'm used to seeing. Price shot up and then it shot down. And what happened was just returned the next day for the next morning for a good selling opportunity. So basically now it's kind of like, where's the marker being left? I believe that this candle and this candle still need to be monitored. This area between 1768 and let's say, again, the 1780 level. So it is a bigger range. I'm just going to be watching that throughout the week, looking to see if price is going to struggle again and then make a push to the downside. So again, it would be wise to aim to do that with a New York session. We're looking to see some US dollar strength. So again, it would be between the afternoon, UK time, 1 o'clock to 4, while that US dollar's New York session's just opened. And I'll be looking to create a selling opportunity from somewhere here. So again, just around that 1768 to let's say let's just say 1775 for now, keeping an eye on that first blue candle. Next up, the US 30. And again, I believe if you remember from the trade that was mentioned around 2 weeks ago now, it's been a monstrous move to the downside. It's absolutely obliterated the targets that I wanted to see get reached. So now price is moving back up towards what I believe may be another selling transaction about to kick off. And I just want to focus on around this 35,200, 35,400 level. So just below where we've had the move come from. I believe we're going to get something else again, maybe around the 35,400 level, just looking at it now. But there is a gap there. There is a blatant gap in the market, and I just want to see how price is going to react if it gets back to this level. That's something that you need to be focusing on, around that 35,200. As I'm looking at this now, I'm just focusing on this candle here, and I do believe something may happen around that. So there's a lot to monitor, and the key number of 3,500 as well. So I'm just going to keep a wide range on this one. I just want to see signs of struggle, signs of an execution again, hopefully around the New York session. And then we hopefully see a move to the downside again. That's the US 30. Keep an eye on that one. Next up is going to be the UK 100. Again, For those who follow, there's been that great move recently to the downside. The target was smashed and obliterated. And now price is kind of rising back towards that same level where we know that there's definitely been a sell transaction at. So I'm just going to kind of focus on now around the 7160. It's this area here that I'm focused on. I want to see price interact with this candle up here and then continue with a push to the downside. So again, I'll be watching that early in the week, Monday, Tuesday. If this area starts to get obliterated, if it starts to reach up here for liquidity, I'll invalidate this area. Now, what I do want to keep an eye on is just have an open mind. The direction is heading down. So I do believe it could come back towards this level around the 6960 and then get the push that we want to see up here for where there might be a sell. So just keep an eye on that, keep an open mind. Let's see which way the direction is going to go first. And then there's two ideas to have there for a trading opportunity. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the UK 100. Okay, I'll do a quick one on Bitcoin. I know a lot of my students look at this and I've got positions in here. I remember mentioning around 2 weeks ago that I can see Bitcoin rising higher, but it's got to pass through a minefield. And it didn't do too well going through that minefield and started to drop to the downside. I do believe now, if it is going to recover and make a push, that it's done what it needs to do, that it's now hit a point where I can see a good buy push coming. However, for me personally, I do think this is going to keep coming to the downside. I do think this is just going to keep coming to the downside. I do believe there's a lot of people's money in this, and the market makers are just trying to wipe out as much liquidity as they can. So again, there's a nice hole down here. I'm expecting this to at least maybe get wiped, and I'll just be looking at the trend continuing. So basically, I'd like to see price just pull back up towards, say, the 46,800 mark. And then I believe we're just going to get a kind of trend continuing here with just a little movement and then a new low and then another movement and a new low, another movement, and hopefully down to here. That's what I believe. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be Bitcoin. Next up, and very important with what's going on right now in the world with the way oil is being purchased at an alarming rate. I do believe this is going to rise higher. Okay, so they know, the people who control this, they know that a lot of people are buying oil, buying petrol right now, and what they want to do is simply rise the price just to make it that little bit more expensive, of course, making that little bit more money. So what I'm suggesting now, I was looking at a sell last week. I was looking at this area. It did start off well. It then came and took me out of break even. I didn't make anything. More importantly, I didn't lose anything. So regarding what we know now about the world and what's going on, I just want to see price pull back towards the 72.50 level and then rise higher. That's all I'm suggesting for oil with what's going on. I just want to see it hit back towards that level, and then there'll be a buy push where I can see price possibly rising to maybe the $76 a barrel. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be US oil. Okay, we're going to start off with the currencies now, and I'm going to talk about pound CAD. Again, for those of you who follow my videos, there were some really great trading opportunities mentioned within the last 2 to 3 weeks. And again, around that 176, 175, 500 levels, these were points that I earmarked for entry. And of course, now we've made a monstrous move to the downside. Now, what I'm expecting is the CAD strength to continue here in this chart. And all I want to see is price pull back up to what was a Friday morning's piece of price action around the 173, let's say 800, 700 level, somewhere around there. I just want to see if I come to a 2 hour, there's the scenario that I'm looking at just before the New York session. And I just want to see price tap into this. Let's say give it 173, 600 to the 173, 800, somewhere in there. I believe price is going to make another move to the downside. And again, the target would be around the 171, 500 level, just down to here. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the pound CAD. Remember, there is some news in the CAD. I'm not expecting it to have a massive impact, but again, it'll be worth monitoring at the time to see if it's sitting in an entry zone. That's the pound CAD. Keep an eye on that one. Okay, next up is going to be my baby. For those of you who follow me, you'll know that the euro pound has been annihilated for many months now, and I'm just going to try and bring this week's opportunity to you. So if I come down to the 4 hour, first thing I want to speak about is just this scenario here. This was last week sometime, I think it was Wednesday morning. We've had something happen, price shot down. It came back to it on Friday evening, tapped into it and started to make a move to the downside. So if I just come to a 2 hour now, that's what the picture looks like. And I just want to see price bubble in this area at the start of the week. Hopefully Sunday night, Monday morning, we can get the London session open. It's still sitting here, and then we see some pound strength. So again, just around the 85, 700, 85, 800, that's going to be the area where I'm looking to pull the trigger if it sticks here for a little while. And again, the target would be a simple 70 pip move to the 85 mark. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the euro pound. Next up, it's going to be the pound Aussie. I just want to show you what I can see here and where roughly I believe another transaction is going to kick off. So somewhere here, the market was manipulated. Price came back to it, was stuck on it, and then eventually dropped again. And then has basically just been playing around this level, walking down the steps. So what I'm expecting to see is just another little retest towards the 188, 600, 188, 800, somewhere in there. I want to see price struggle again like this picture here, where we've got all the candles struggling to reach up, and then we get our push to the downside. Now, this is the Australian dollar. We're looking to see some strength in that, and that usually happens in the nighttime UK for UK time. So just be aware that it may be something that you see in the evening, and it will be a trade that you can go to sleep with and wake up in some profits. So just keep an eye on that 88, 600. You want to see price struggling with a few candles in the area. And then, of course, if there's a session opening with the Sydney session in the evening, hopefully that will power the Australian dollar to gain some strength. And again, the target would just be around the 187 level to wipe out that low. So keep an eye on that one. It's around 160 pip move. That's the pound Aussie. Okay, very similar to what we just spoke about. It's the euro AUD. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this daily picture. I just like what's happened here last week, where prices hit the area, dropped down, and then struggled, and looks like it's playing in the area. If I come down to the 4 hour, what I want to see is very simple. I just want to see price pull back up towards, let's say, the 161, 700, just under the 162 level. So give it a 30 pip range. I just want to see price struggle here again, and then make its move to the downside, where I believe we can at least hit the 160 mark. So keep an eye on that one. It's very similar to the pound Aussie. Again, just be aware that the strength may come during the night. Now, there was some days with some fundamentals on the Australian dollar as well. So again, if it's correlating with that, if I can see price sitting in a level where I can then get in at the same time as the fundamentals, I'll be expecting that to power it to the downside. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the euro AUD. Next up is going to be the pound USD. Now, again, just looking at this daily picture, we are just in a key buying area. There's been lots of buy pushes from here before. So looking at it now, if I just come down to a 4 hour, I'm just looking to see price retesting this level. Of course, it's finished here on Friday. It started to show signs of struggling. It's stuck at a level. So I'm just going to keep an eye on the 136, 200, 136, 400. That was where I wanted to see a push from last week. I got it. Now I'm looking at the retest. I'm looking to just see price come here again, struggle, hopefully with a London session about to open. And again, just a small move, not expecting massive to the upside, but at least to this level here, where the 138, where I can see something has happened. So again, that's around 160 pip move if we can get it right. So just be aware of that. Expect it to take off at a London session, 8 a.m. A New York session, expect the dollar to gain some strength. So just be aware of your timing when you're trying to pull the trigger on this one. You want to see price struggling in this area and then get the push with the London Open. That's the pound USD. Okay, next up is going to be the USD Swiss franc. Now, this is going to be a main focus for the week. So first thing I want you to look at is the weekly time frame and how we've just risen up into an area now where it's time to think about putting a transaction for the sell. I do believe it can come slightly higher to the 93,500. So I'm gonna earmark the 93 to 93,500. That's where I'm looking to see price struggle again, and then of course hopefully pull a good trigger. So if I just come down onto the daily time frame again, I just like the way price has dipped into my area. I just bring that over there, dipped into my area, shoots down, and then it's starting to struggle again. So what I want to see now, if I just come onto the 4 hour, is price rise back up to that 93. Like I said, in between 93,500. Let's give it some space to breathe. And then, of course, if it's with that news, I believe the Wednesday news for the Swiss franc, I believe it was on Wednesday. So if I can see that correlating with that, and I can see this sitting here on Tuesday night, the trade will start to become a massive interest. And then we can hopefully look at that area at being a sell. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be one of my main focuses for the week. And that's going to be the USD Swiss franc. Okay, so very similar on the pound Swiss franc as well. Again, this one hasn't exactly dipped into the area that I want it to. But if I just come down onto the daily now, we're looking to see a scenario. So I'd want to see something in that area around that 127, 128 level. If I just come down to the 4 hour again, I'm looking over here for something to happen in this level here. Still nothing. If I now come to the 2 hour, there's a lonesome blue candle sitting there. I want to see how price is going to interact with this area around the 127,400, let's say 127,600. And then, of course, with that news again, if it's sitting there for that Wednesday news, we can get the push to the downside. So just watch how price is going to interact with this area. I'm going to show you how I mark it up very quickly by just simply putting a horizontal ray underneath it to let me know when price is interacting with it and when I can start thinking about becoming a seller in this area. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the pound Swiss franc. Okay, next up is the pound yen. Again, for those of you who follow me, there's been some great opportunities mentioned in here. And again, the bearish environment is sticking very well. It looks like it's going to keep continuing to the downside, and it's had a pushback up into what looks like a selling area. If I just come down to the 4 hour, it will start to look a little bit clearer. We've interacted with this level here around the 151,700. It's hit it, struggled, pulled back to it, and showed another sign of struggling. So I'm getting very confident on the area, and I just want to see how it's going to play. Let's be precise, around the 151,500, let's say to the 151,750. Give it a bit of space to breathe. I believe at some point during the week, we're going to get the move to the downside, at least to the 150, 149,500 mark. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the pound yen. That's going to be one of my main focuses for the week. Okay, so like the pound yen, euro yen, again, you can see the bearish environment. You can see the stairwell where it looks like it's walking down. What I want to suggest is that it looks like the 130 whole number has been manipulated. This is where there's definitely been a marker left. And of course, Friday, it threatened to reach towards it. So this area will definitely be worth a watch this week. We want to see it struggling, just to give it a bit of space. Let's say the 130 to the 130,200. I am looking to see a sell in this area. I'm looking to see the yen gain some strength. So keep an eye on that. It's going to be the euro yen. Okay, next up is going to be the USD CAD. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this weekly picture here. We've had a nice push from this area. If I now come onto the daily, there's some good areas where I can see prices pushed down from, and we're now at a level where I'm expecting to see a buy push. If I now come onto the 4 hour, it's just this level here around the 126, 125, 500. I want to see how price pushed out of here. Hasn't had any tap back on the area. I just want to see what's going to happen, if it's going to struggle. And then, of course, I'm looking to see some US dollar strength in a lot of other currencies. So again, I'm looking to see the same thing here. Expect that to happen at the later part of the week. The US dollar is known for getting stronger in the later part of the week. So let's just see if by Wednesday, Thursday, this is still around this area. And then hopefully we can see a buy push. Keep an eye on that. It's going to be the USD CAD. Next up again, USD JPY. For those of you who follow me, you'll know there's been lots of fun, lots of selling opportunities in this area. Now the fun's over. It's come to take out the area. It's come to wipe out all of the liquidity. So there's not really a trading opportunity. I don't really want to sell it from here. Yes, it can be a good trading opportunity, but I'm not going to mention that. I want to see this area get wiped out and then see how it plays out afterwards. So again, this will probably be something that I'll let play out for the week. I'll be updating it next week for sure. And then we'll see how it progresses. But with that being said, guys, I'm now going to introduce you to my good friends from Lag-FX, who are going to take you through a little analysis on a pair.
Hi guys, my name is Luke and I am the founder and CEO of Ft-LAGFX. Firstly, I just want to thank Adam for the opportunity to be here today and show you guys what we can offer as a business. Here at Ft-LAGFX, we like to underpromise and overprovide in everything we do. Not only do we take on beginners, but we also take on those with experience within the trading field. We offer our clients with regular analysis, potential entry points, and fundamental news updates on the daily. We also have a range of courses and learning programs that you can go and check out on our website. As you can see in the presentation, our website is the bottom right and our Instagram is the bottom left. My head analyst James is going to run through the AUD USD pair and give you guys an insight on what he predicts will happen in the coming week.
Thank you, Luke, for the introduction. As you quite rightly said, I'm going to be doing a full top-down analysis on the AUD to USD currency pair. So I always start a full top-down with a monthly time frame. This gives me a great idea of what the trend has been doing longer term. And as we can see from this faded black line, it's been putting in bearish structure. We've been putting in protected highs and actively breaking the lows. Now in doing so, we've left some supply zones in the market. We can see they haven't been mitigated because price hasn't returned to these areas to mitigate them fully. So the bottom supply zone we have has just been mitigated recently. Of course, this is the monthly time frame. So when I'm talking about recently, we are still looking at 5-6 months in the past. To get a better look of this is where I would be dropping the time frame onto the weekly, so we can see exactly where price has come into that zone. As you can see by that wick, it's tapped around that 50%, mitigated the position and distributed. Now a distribution basically marks the stopping power of the previous uptrend and the creation of a new downtrend. We can see this has happened perfectly here. Price has fallen down, hitting a demand zone. However, longer term we have been looking for the continuation of bearishness, so I am expecting this zone to be broken. However, we still do need to be cautious of this area when price approaches. Now moving on to the daily, this really zooms in on this new downtrending wave we've started since this distribution. Now of course this downtrend down is something that we have confirmed on the monthly to be a key reversal area and the creation of hopefully a much longer term down move. I've marked another supply zone which you can see on the right about halfway down. This is where price came up to mitigate a position. Now what I like about this move is, as you can see by the red line, a lot of liquidity was built up in the last leg down. There's a lot of equal highs, a lot of wicks in that area. This major retracement came past and through to clear that liquidity, falsely tell people about the future trend, and then come to mitigate a position we had left. This is a great sign of a continuation because the larger interests aren't wanting to leave any unmitigated positions. Now to the 4 hour, again we zoom in onto this recent move, that large bullish move up, the clearance of liquidity and the mitigation of our supply zone. Again, since the mitigation, bearish structure has been put in. Now what do we want to look for? We want to look for another supply zone that's been left in this bearish move to find entries. Now finally onto the 30-minute, again we zoom in, we see where price came into this zone, distributed as is usual for a reversal, and has again started to move down. Now the same process on every single time frame. We identify zones, supply zones left unmitigated, as these are great positions to get in on. Now our first zone, or the bottom zone, is at 0.7263. So this is a zone that price is currently at, and given that very last candle being red, being bearish, this could indicate that a reversal has happened already on lower time frames and that a short has potentially been missed. We could still get in on this, but I personally prefer to get in right at the top of the movement. Now that second supply zone, the one that's just above 0.7294. So if price was to break this initial one, we'd be looking for that one next to then go short from. Now from each time frame we've been on, we have been given the indication of bearish structure. We've been seeing the mitigation of a supply zone and continuation lower. Now because each time frame has been giving us this bias, it is just added confirmation that we are looking to sell longer term. So looking for supply zones as we are doing is definitely the right way to go about it. So I'd like to thank Adam myself for this opportunity to be on here. Hope you guys managed to learn a thing or two from this top down, and I hope price plays out as we predicted and you guys can profit from this move.
Okay, thank you James, thank you Luke. Again guys, they're two good friends of mine. I can vouch, I can tell you that there's a lot of people in this industry, they know what they're doing. Okay, so again, if you want to check them out, be sure to do so. Very good friends of mine. Again, thank you for joining me on this video. Before we go, I just want to say a quick shout out to my sponsors, the Absolutely magazine. Thank you for all your support, all your hard work. It means a lot to me. And again, if you want to learn how to trade, if you want to learn how to take investments for yourself, then check out my mentorship program. That's at www.capitalatrading.co.uk. You can reach out to me on there and we can take it further. With that being said, have a great trading week and I'll see you next week.
Bye, have a great time.